The year is 1916, a world teetering on the brink. Empires clash and the old order crumbles. The echoes of a bygone era fade as the drums of war beat louder. Europe is locked in a brutal stalemate, a seemingly endless conflict that has consumed nations and reshaped the very landscape. Trenches stretch like festering wounds from the Alps to the North Sea, a testament to the futility and horror of modern warfare, a continuous line of death and despair. The initial fervour of 1914, the naive enthusiasm for a quick and glorious victory, has long since decayed into a relentless war of attrition. Hope has been replaced by grim determination. On the Western Front, the lines barely move. Each inch gained is paid for in blood, a gruesome calculus of human life. Nations compete to see who can endure the most loss, a macabre contest of national will measured in the countless dead and wounded. The cost is unimaginable. In Berlin, German Chief of Staff Erich von Falkenhayn, a man of cold calculation and ruthless ambition, devises a chilling plan. A strategy born of desperation and a desire to break the deadlock. He will not seek a breakthrough, a decisive victory on the battlefield, but a place to bleed France dry, a war of attrition taken to its most horrifying extreme. A site so vital, so deeply ingrained in the French national identity that they must defend it at all costs, regardless of the sacrifice. His target, Verdun, a fortress city, a symbol of French resilience, the heart of French pride and defence, a bastion against invasion. To lose Verdun would be unthinkable for France. A blow to their morale, a stain on their honour, a strategic disaster of immense proportions. Falkenhayn amasses men and artillery, a vast and terrifying arsenal. In the dense forests of the Woevre plain, hidden and ready, poised to unleash a storm of steel and fire upon the unsuspecting defenders. The French, meanwhile, are complacent, lulled into a false sense of security by the apparent quiet on the Verdun front. Verdun seems quiet, a peaceful town nestled amidst rolling hills, unaware of the impending cataclysm. Its forts undermanned, its guns stripped for other fronts, resources diverted to other sectors of the sprawling battlefield. The garrisons are thin, spread out and vulnerable, the defences neglected, weakened by years of static warfare. They do not sense the storm gathering, the dark clouds of war massing on the horizon, the impending fury about to be unleashed. The soldiers wait, unaware they stand on the edge of a new kind of hell, a maelstrom of destruction unlike anything they have ever witnessed. Soldiers write letters home, sharing final thoughts with loved ones. The stage is set for a ritual of industrial slaughter, a mechanized dance of death where human lives are reduced to mere statistics. The old world is dying, and its death rattle is the thunder of artillery, a deafening symphony of destruction that heralds a new and terrifying era. Something must give. The tension is unbearable, the pressure mounting towards an inevitable explosion. The clock ticks down to catastrophe, each second bringing the world closer to the abyss, the point of no return. The road to hell is paved, and the journey is about to begin. A descent into unimaginable horror and suffering. Verdun will become the crucible of modern war, a place where the very definition of warfare is redefined in blood and fire. The world holds its breath, anticipating the storm, the moment when the gates of hell are unleashed upon the earth. The morning of February 21st, 1916 dawned with an ominous stillness over Verdun. Little did the French soldiers know this was the deceptive calm before an unimaginable storm. At 7:15 a.m., the earth begins to tremble, and then Verdun erupts. A single German naval gun fires, its shell a harbinger of what's to come. Then, as if on cue, over 1,200 cannons unleash a storm of fire, Trommelfeuer, drumfire. A deafening roar tears through the air, signalling the start of an unprecedented artillery barrage. For 9 relentless hours, the bombardment continues without pause. It is a systematic and calculated attempt to obliterate everything in its path. The earth shakes violently under the constant pounding, and the sky is choked with thick, acrid smoke and the pungent smell of cordite. Trenches, once thought to be safe havens, vanish in the blink of an eye. Men and earth are fused together in a horrifying slurry of destruction, becoming indistinguishable from one another. The very landscape is being rewritten by the relentless shelling. As if the artillery wasn't enough, poison gas creeps insidiously into the shattered dugouts, silently and mercilessly finishing what the shells began. Soldiers desperately clutch at their gas masks, but for some it is already too late. The landscape is utterly erased, transformed into an alien world. Forests are splintered into matchsticks, and the ground heaves and writhes like a stormy sea, leaving behind a cratered surface reminiscent of the moon. French soldiers can only endure, not fight. They are buried alive, deafened by the incessant noise, and driven to the brink of madness by the sheer terror of the bombardment. Their minds struggle to comprehend the scale of the destruction. Command posts are crushed under the weight of the shells. Communication lines are severed, leaving the troops isolated and vulnerable. The chain of command collapses, adding to the growing sense of despair. There are no orders to follow, only chaos and confusion. The soldiers are left to fend for themselves, grappling with the overwhelming sense that the world is, quite literally, ending around them. When the guns finally fall silent, after what seems like an eternity, a stunned and terrifying quiet descends upon the battlefield. The silence is more unsettling than the noise had been, a prelude to the next phase of horror. German stormtroopers, hardened and ready, advance cautiously into a wasteland of craters and tangled wire, prepared to exploit the devastation. The French front line, once a formidable defence, has effectively ceased to exist, pulverised into dust and rubble. Falkenhayn's grim plan to bleed France dry is off to a horrifyingly successful start. The nightmare has only just begun. The gates of hell are now wide open and there is no turning back. Verdun is no longer simply a place on a map, but a living, breathing apocalypse, a testament to the destructive power of modern warfare. But the true battle for Verdun, the battle that would define a generation, is only just beginning. And the world, forever scarred by this conflict, will never, ever be the same. Survivors of the bombardment emerge into chaos. Trenches gone, the air thick with gas and smoke. Visibility is near zero. Every shadow could be death. Men wander, uniforms torn, faces blackened, eyes wide with terror. Communication is gone, officers dead or missing. Small groups huddle in shell holes cut off with no orders or hope of relief. They are ghosts in their own graveyard, fighting an enemy they cannot see. Shell shock sets in, trembling fugue states, minds shattered by noise and fear. The German plan is working, not just breaking bodies, but minds. The defenders are pushed to the brink of collapse. Verdun is now a labyrinth of fear and madness. Fort Douaumont, the pride of French defences, stands as a symbol of strength until it falls with barely a fight. Its garrison, isolated and undermanned, is deaf to the chaos outside. On February 25th, a handful of lost German pioneers approach and find the fort silent. They enter through a damaged opening, moving through empty, echoing corridors. There is no resistance. The French are unaware the enemy is inside. The surrender is swift. Douaumont falls without a shot. German high command is stunned. The French are devastated. The unbreachable has fallen, shattering French morale. Douaumont becomes a ghost, a symbol of humiliation. Its loss haunts France for the rest of the war. The legend of Verdun is forever changed. To truly grasp the unimaginable horror that was Verdun, a place that became synonymous with sacrifice and devastation, we must listen to the voices of the men who endured it, the soldiers who lived, fought, and often died in those hellish conditions. Their letters and diaries, often scrawled in the dim light of the trenches, speak of mud, a ubiquitous presence that permeated every aspect of their existence. Blood, the constant companion of war, steel, the instruments of death, and above all fear, a chilling dread that gnawed at their souls. Raymond Joubert writes, "Humanity is mad. What a massacre. Hell cannot be so terrible." His words, raw and unfiltered, capture the sheer insanity of the conflict. Hunger, annoying emptiness, thirst, an unquenchable need, rats, scurrying reminders of decay, and lice, an incessant torment, were their constant companions, adding to the misery. Lieutenant Joubert, "They are corpses. They are not men anymore, but they are still fighting." He describes the dehumanizing effect of war, where men are reduced to mere shells, driven only by instinct. Letters home, carefully crafted to mask the true horrors, try to anchor fragile minds to a world beyond the trenches, a world of family, love and normalcy. But the ever-present horror, the stench of death, the deafening roar of artillery, inevitably seeps through, staining even the most optimistic words. A German soldier, weary beyond measure, pleads, "We are all so weary, do not pray for victory, pray for an end." His words echo the universal desire for peace, a desperate yearning to escape the carnage. Henri Desagneaux, buried alive in the earth, writes with chilling resignation, "I am a ghost among ghosts." His words paint a picture of a living hell. These voices, rising from the depths of despair, strip away any semblance of glory, revealing only the brutal reality of suffering, the immense human cost of war. The true cost of Verdun is not simply in the staggering numbers of dead and wounded, but in these haunted words etched in ink and blood, testaments to the enduring trauma of war. Even now, the earth itself, saturated with the blood of countless soldiers, seems to whisper their pain, a constant reminder of the sacrifices made. Verdun's enduring legacy is not one of triumph or conquest, but is forever written in the poignant voices of the damned, the men who experienced its horrors firsthand. Their echoes, faint but persistent, remain carried on the wind long after the guns have fallen silent, a haunting reminder of the futility of war. Verdun is a symphony of destruction, artillery thunder, machine gun chatter, the whistle of shells. The sound is a physical force, vibrating through bone, suffocating the mind. Even in lulls, horror persists. The wind sighs through shattered trees, the drone of planes overhead. Human sounds, screams, moans, the frantic heartbeat in the dark, are magnified in the silence. Every drip, every creak feeds paranoia. The noise is inescapable, the constant soundtrack to hell. At Verdun, silence is as terrifying as the bombardment. Verdun forges a new understanding of trauma, shell shock. Men return mute, trembling, haunted by nightmares and terror. Military authorities mistake their wounds for cowardice, but the truth is clear. The mind can be shattered by war. Verdun becomes a grim laboratory for the study of psychological wounds. The legacy is lasting, PTSD, a generation broken in spirit. The scars of Verdun outlast the war, echoing through families and history. The lesson is brutal. War wounds the soul as deeply as the body. Verdun's trauma endures, invisible but unhealed. Verdun marks a turning point. War as industrial slaughter. Falkenhayn's plan is not conquest, but annihilation by machine. Artillery, gas and machine guns turn men into raw material for the war machine. The French rotation system admits no one can endure for long. Soldiers are sacrificed, their lives measured in days, not victories. The individual is powerless, a cog in a vast mechanism of death. The enemy is often unseen, the battle impersonal and dehumanizing. Verdun becomes the model for future wars. Attrition, overwhelming firepower, staggering casualties. The romance of combat is gone. Only the machinery of death remains. Verdun is the birthplace of modern, mechanized horror. When the guns fall silent in December 1916, nothing has changed, except the cost. Over 700,000 men are dead, wounded or missing. The land is poisoned, villages erased. Verdun is a black hole devouring a generation. For France, it becomes a symbol of sacrifice and resolve. They shall not pass, but at a terrible price. The trauma shapes French strategy for decades. For Germany, Verdun is a failure. Falkenhayn's plan backfires, shattering his own army. The battle breaks both nations' spirits. Verdun stands as a monument to futility and horror, a warning of mechanized war's true cost. The wind still whispers through the ruined fields, a final echo of destruction. The voices of the lost remain bound to this patch of hell. Verdun's lesson is clear: the price of pride and strategy is paid in human lives. The world must never forget.